The Los Angeles Lakers will be facing the Minnesota Timberwolves Saturday night. I believe at 8:30. This is going to be the primetime matchup of the day. And I think the matchup most NBA fans are looking forward to, even if you're not a fan of either of these teams, such as I'm not a fan of either, but I think it'll be an entertaining matchup due to the star power. Like Stephen A would say, both teams have box office stars and Anthony Edwards, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic. Now, it'll be interesting to see how this series plays out. The Lakers are the heavy favorites to win this series, and I thought about it. I thought about Minnesota's chances of upsetting the Lakers and if they can pull this off. I feel several things have to go right for Minnesota to be able to beat the Lakers and upset them in this round. One thing I noticed about this matchup, granted, it's hard to gather any information from the regular season because the three times these teams faced each other, the 3 out of 4 times, it was a Lakers team before they got Luka Doncic. So there's a huge difference between playing a Lakers team pre-Luka and then after they got Luka. I factored that in when just looking into all the box scores of this matchup. One thing I've noticed is that Anthony Edwards in this matchup hasn't dominated all season when he plays the Lakers. The highest amount of points he scored in a game this season against the Lakers was on opening night. And I remember watching this game. He had 27 points, owned 40% shooting overall from the field, which is not what I call a dominant game. In my eyes, a great game is if you score 30 or more points on above 45% shooting from the field. That shows that you had a great game and you're very efficient. Anthony Edwards has not had any of those games this year against the Lakers. When you look at all the box scores, he's had some games where he's really struggled. There's one game, I believe, where he shot, I think, 23% from the field. It was really bad, but his team still won. Ironically, they won that game by like 29 points. So it didn't really matter. And you look at these other games where the Timberwolves have won, Anthony Edwards didn't play so great. There's another game where they won this year against the Lakers. It was a game where they won 97-87. Anthony Edwards had 23 points, but on 45% shooting. So it was a decent game, but it wasn't a great game. And then in their last matchup of the regular season, this was when they faced the Luka Lakers team. Anthony Edwards just had a solid game where he shot 6 of 12 from the field, had 18 points. But I feel Anthony Edwards has to dominate this series. This is a guy that should be averaging somewhere around like 27, 30 points a game in this series. And he needs to shoot 45% or above from the field. He has to do that. I know there's been a lot of hype about this guy last few years as possibly the next face of the league. Granted, he doesn't want to be the face of the league, but if he wants to prove he's a legit star, and I understand that last year his team got to the conference finals, but they were a stacked team. They had Cat. This year, I think he really has to prove himself to show people that he is a legit superstar. And it's not really about winning the series for me. It's about him dominating. So they need Anthony Edwards to dominate. That's the first thing the Timberwolves need to happen in this series. They need him to play great. And only then can they have a shot at winning the series. The second thing they need to happen in this series is that they need Julius Randle. Randle has to show up in this series. And I'm very skeptical that he'll show up because historically Randle does not play well in the playoffs. I saw that when he was with the Knicks the last few years, that he always tends to disappear in the playoffs. He's very mediocre. He's terrible. The Timberwolves need Julius Randle to be a 2010 player consistently in this series. He has a mismatch with Rui Hachimura. Hachimura is a solid player, but Randle is even a better player. He should be able to get 20 and 10. So that needs to happen. And I would say both Randle and Gobert, they have to pound the boards. They need to dominate the rebounds and limit the Lakers from getting offensive rebounds. That's the strength of the Lakers recently. Limit the second chance points. That has to happen. That's the second thing. That's the third thing they need to dominate the boards. So the checklist is Anthony Edwards needs to dominate 2010 from Julius Randle, dominate the boards. The fourth thing I'm going to say is that they need to shut down all the Lakers role players. And that requires a lot of discipline. They need to shut down what's his name? I think his name is Dorian Finney-Smith. I always mix up his name. They need to go after that guy. He's a crucial part of the Lakers. They have got to shut him down. That he's a huge part. So they got to shut down Dorian Finney-Smith. They need to shut down Gabe Vincent. Those guys cannot go off. If you can shut down those two guys, it's huge because the Lakers bench then suffers. You need to just go after Hachimura. I would say Austin Reeves. Granted, he's scoring 20 points a game, but I always look at him as a complementary player. That requires intense discipline, great team defense, great rotations. If I was the Timberwolves, I go for shutting down all those guys, and I dare Luka and LeBron to score 30 to 40 points a game every game. I dare them to do that. I remember back in the day, the Spurs strategy when they played the Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire Suns was that they let Steve Nash and Amari get whatever they wanted. That Amari had games where he was getting 37 to 40 points against the Spurs, but the Spurs were able to shut down key guys like Raja Bell, Boris Diaw, and these other role players on the Suns that the games would be high scoring, but they could get a few defensive stops down the end, and that's how they would win the game. And it was all based on team discipline, that they had to be mentally tough to survive those storms when Amari and Nash were going off. I feel in this case, the Timberwolves have to do the same thing. They have to survive those storms from Luka and LeBron. I wouldn't focus too much on stopping those guys. I would focus on just shutting down the rest of the team. And then on the offensive end, the last thing they need to do is that they have to speed up the game. You got to push the pace. Don't let LeBron set up a half-court offense type of game. You want to push the pace, force LeBron to play defense, never allow him to rest. Same with Luka. These guys are not great defenders anymore. Keep pushing, push, and attack the paint relentlessly. Don't stop. Just speed up the pace. I think that's the best way to take out the Lakers. I don't think LeBron can play at that pace at his age, so you got to speed up the game. That's the last thing I would like to see them do. If they do all those things, then they would beat the Lakers. So that's the way I look at it. But let's go down the checklist. So you need Anthony Edwards to be dominant, score 30 or more points per game. You need Julius Randle to give you 20 and 10 a game. You need Julius Randle and Gobert to dominate the boards. And the next thing, you need to take out their role players, to shut them all down. The Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent, Austin Reeves, Hachimura. So that's the next thing. The fifth thing you need is you got to speed up the game offensively. You got to speed it up. Just don't play a half-court game against them. And the last thing is you got to show defensive discipline. You have to, like I said, just allow LeBron and Luka to get theirs, but shut down everybody else. So they had to do all those things, and I think it's going to be very hard for them to achieve all those things. And I want them to be able to do that, but the Lakers, to win, they don't have to do as much. What they have to do is very, very simple. Just Luka and LeBron just have to just play an efficient game. I say somewhere between 20 to 30 points a game on high efficiency, and include everybody in the offense. Make sure all the role players get involved. And on the defensive end, get some stops. Continue to do what they've been doing on Anthony Edwards, contain him, and they win this series. So the Lakers don't have to do that much to win this series, but the Timberwolves have to do a shitload of things to win this series. And that's why I believe that they're underdogs in this series. And I think the Lakers will prevail. Unfortunately, I say this as a Laker hater, but I have the Lakers winning this series. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, in 6 games. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see.